All right, sir. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's good, people? Donald Gadson at Mr. Gadson's Class on Instagram. Middle school teacher of almost 9 years. Before that, nonprofit work here in Orlando, Florida.
Which nonprofit was that?
K-Life of Orlando. So we kind of went into public high schools and did mentorship.
Okay.
Yeah,
well, we need
yeah.
a partner on that.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
find them.
Hey, man. Look. Yeah, man. So, husband of one, daddy of one, and foster dad of about 7. So, yeah, man.
Okay. Okay. That's what's up.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you for coming here today. We are here finally. You didn't think I was coming, but I'm here.
I did it.
But I just wanted to reach out to you because I saw what you were doing on Instagram, and in addition to that, I also like the inspiration that you had with the kids, how they were logging on to your page, getting onto your live feed. You were having questions with them, and that makes a difference. It really makes a difference. We have schools. I don't want to talk bad about them, but it kind of breaks my heart in a way because I try to reach out to them, and even schools in my hometown in Prince George's County, Maryland. Some people just don't want to hear it. Like I've physically walked into the school, walked into the office, went to the school board, whatever the case may be, and it's nothing. But you have to do all this stuff with background checks and figuring out who you are. And I'm like, look, I graduated from here.
Yeah, alma mater.
Yeah, like really, like I'm trying to give you something that's gonna give your community something, your school, your students something that they can take with them once they graduate.
Yeah.
So it baffles me that I can come to places like Florida or Arizona, wherever I go, and be welcomed with open arms. Like with Florida, I didn't even meet the principal the first time I came.
It's crazy.
Right. So I just called up the organization, which is POPS, is an organization here in Orlando, and they teach professional leadership.
Yeah.
They give the kids internships. I think they're doing this year like about maybe between 35 to 40 students.
Wow.
And they get hired by different companies. They make like $9 an hour, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I wanted to reach out to them last October when I was in town because I wanted to further my umbrella of connections.
Right.
I don't want to be like a one direction type program.
Right.
I don't want an office. I don't want none of that. My office is the world.
Love that.
So I'm basically just trying to make the real connections. Like I don't care about Instagram and all of the perks that you want to get from followers. That doesn't matter to me.
It's good.
That doesn't matter to me.
It's right here. It's what it is.
And it's so many people, I have DMs and they're like, oh, you just doing this for that, and oh, you just want followers. And I'm like, you don't even know who I am. So you slide into my DMs to say what?
Yeah.
And the ones that you reach out to, they say, hey, let's connect or whatever the case may be, but then you never hear from them. So those are the side dishes. I don't even want the main dish.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
That's it. So good people like you reaching out to you, responded, contacted, made a phone call.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Here we are, bro.
That's all it takes. So we're dealing with Black History Month this month.
Yeah.
So I wanted to pretty much basically get a concept or idea of what educators today think about Black History Month and how you came to be in education today.
Yeah. So for me, man, like, my journey to being in the classroom, it more so came out of like the work that I did outside the classroom. So kind of like community development, helping students like, in the family unit, right? So some of the nonprofit work that I did, man, was related to helping kids stay connected to family, right? So we kind of went in and we did tutoring. We did like a weekly, what we call club meeting. It was almost like a youth rally of sorts, you know what I'm saying? So like we would kind of get together like small groups and kind of have pizza, you know what I'm saying? Kind of have like an inspirational message. And so parents, man, just kind of appreciated the work that I put in. I mean, as you know, it's like whenever you put in work, people see that, you know what I'm saying?
That's our motto for the year, do the work.
Do the work, man. It's like, so, and doing the work that honestly, like a lot of people don't want to do. My biggest thing is, man, like when you think about middle school and high school, in particular middle school, which is what I teach, a lot of parents don't know what to do with that age. It's kind of like, yo, Like, here you go. You know what I'm saying? Like, you take her. Like,
oh, so they want to hand
yeah,
their
right,
child
yeah,
off to you.
yeah. It's kind of, you know, this whole puberty thing and the emotions and like, it's too much. So man, like, with me being able to just like press into that and also like, you know, include the parents in on the child's process, whether it be dealing with peer pressure or whether it be, especially kind of like in upper middle class neighborhoods, like it's so based on performance. You know what I'm saying? So let's say, for example, like, you know, your dad is a businessman and you know he had like his bar is here. So in terms of like grades, you know, you being in National Honor Society and being on the baseball team, all that stuff, right? So for them, man, it was a lot of pressure, and a lot of times, man, like I know, for cats like us who maybe grew up in a situation that wasn't like middle class, we kind of see their story as like, yo, like they got it all.
They got it made, exactly.
On the other side of that is a lot that they have to live up to. You know what I'm saying? And quite frankly, it's like being able to be an African American man in predominantly white circles, helping predominantly white kids. Is super dope because you really get to see, wow, like their issues are the same issues that we deal with, but they just have access to resources, and so they're able to mask it a whole lot more, right?
Right.
So kind of, so that experience for me, man, was kind of like, wow, like it would be super cool to be able to be really hands-on in the classroom, like teaching as a black male at a predominantly white school, and that's just been like one of the most eye-opening, humbling, but yet like great experiences, because like I've really been able to see, man, like wow, like change in Black America, we really have to do like for us because they do for them, you know. And on top of that, you know, being a history teacher, you'll be surprised that many students on the other side of the tracks don't really know history, or it's a skewed history, right?
Yes, that's a big problem.
Yeah, so to be able to influence that, to impact that like every single day, day in and day out, year in and year out, man, it's super dope, man. So that's kind of like the progression of how I kind of ended up teaching history, English, and then I teach at a private Christian school, so you know, so it's a little bit of religious studies as well, which is even cooler because it's like, wow, like you really get to see the whole American, yeah, you know what I'm saying. So, so yeah, man, Black History Month. So far this month for us, man, it's been an eye opener because again, you have a black male. Most of my students will probably never have a black male teacher ever again. So to be able to really give them the perspective of America from my lens and my viewpoint, is really to help them to then be, you know, a future advocate for like our issues. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, you know, if you think about Booker T. Washington or W.E.B. Du Bois, like they have certain ideas about like, yo, like should black people have access to opportunities because white people give it to them, or just like that whole.
Or should you create your own?
Or should you create your own?
That's
right.
What we should do.
So and that's been such a cool conversation because you really see how like, you know, the political lines of, you know, of individuals, man, like it doesn't start whenever they get in college, but it's like, wow, like it starts like whenever they're 11 or 12 or 13 in their history class. You know what I'm saying? So to be able to impact that and influence that, to help them to see like what it really is, that's been super dope.
That's good. That's good.
Man.
So, what do you feel that's a big issue in middle school students today?
I'm gonna say the biggest thing that I see, man, is it's like a connection. Like we were talking about, like with IG, is like, you know, they live in the most connected like era ever. You know what I'm saying? With their smartphone, but yet they don't know how to connect like in person, like having a conversation.
They don't have
like
any social interaction.
No social interaction.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
They can't disconnect.
Exactly. There you go. Right. So for me, man, it's like, you know, being able to teach a middle school, you know, boy or girl, the power of like of social skills, how to look somebody in the eye, how to carry a conversation, like how to engage somebody in conversation.
Exactly.
That's going to set them apart like years from now, because as technology grows, man, like it's dope to like to connect online, but your job, your business, like it's going to be this, like, can you connect in person, right? Exactly. So I would say the biggest thing that I see, man, is like it's being connected, but yet not being connected.
Right, and I mean that's a subject that I had yesterday actually with the Jones High School kids, because I asked them, you know, you live in a world where, you know, your head is constantly in your phone, and I don't know what the situation is. I know that they can carry their phones in school. We couldn't carry no phones in school. We had to put them away.
Yeah.
But they were telling me that they could not lose their phone for 1 week. 1 week.
Couldn't
At
survive.
all.
Yeah.
They was like, this is my phone. I had to survive. This is my survival, my lifeline. Like, how is that your lifeline?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get that. How is this your lifeline?
Yeah.
So when they were explaining to me how it was their lifeline, I can understand that. But I said, well, when do you have time to disconnect? I said, if you're doing, a term paper or homework, is your phone right next to you? Are you texting and then you going back to your work? And they all said yes.
Yeah, man.
And I'm just like, well, how can you actually be retaining the information that you're supposed to be learning if you texting with your friends or online, YouTube, and whatever the case may be?
Right.
So, they argue me up and down about how they can never disconnect from their phone from 1 week and they would die.
Wow.
And I was like, y'all really need to understand that, it's other things that you can do. I said, half of y'all probably never even been to a camp where you couldn't have anything like that. Like, we went to Christian camp growing up, and you couldn't have no phone.
Like you off the grid.
Your
right?
parents took everything. That was it.
Yeah.
And I remember back in the day when we went to camp with my neighbor kids across the street, and we didn't have cell phones like that all the time, but we did have a phone for emergencies. But at that time, you didn't really need a phone because all we could do was text.
Yeah.
And we had to text. We had to hit the button three times to get one word,
There you go.
one letter.
And when the emojis, your emoji was like the little semicolon joint and
right.
the little whatever that is, the
That's
little
right.
parentheses.
That's right.
That was it. Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
So, I'm just trying to not take that away from them because they're living in a lit society. They really are.
Yeah.
The technology is on the rise.
Right.
You have all of these advancements as far as coding and engineers,
Right.
all this stuff that they can be exposed to. But my biggest problem was I didn't see that growing up, and now the kids don't see that growing up too.
Yeah.
So I try to, pretty much provide resources or give information to kids about, what's available and what's out there. And this isn't information that's just from me or coming from me.
Right.
This is stuff that people shared with me.
Right.
Like, I would have never received, a government internship if somebody else wouldn't have told me about it. I would have never have received a scholarship if somebody else wouldn't have told me about it. So, I think that, the black community need to get rid of saying, once you're 18, you on your own. That is the worst statement you can ever say to a child. You do not hear that from other families.
So true, bro. So true.
Other families.
Your network is going to determine your net worth.
Exactly.
Right? Like
and my saying is, what? You are the nucleus of your network.
There you go.
You have to build everything that's around you
So true.
to get what you want. No one's going to be running up to you and say,
Nah,
hey,
man. Nope.
This is this.
Yep.
This is your paper. Come on, hold my hand. Let's walk 5 steps and get to the register. No. It's not going to work like that.
Yeah.
So, I want to be able to provide those resources or actually share that. And, the inspiration came from, in the beginning, from my uncle who wanted me to write a book, which I'm writing the ebook now, and doing a pre-release this weekend. But it's just like, I didn't see me writing a book. Because I was like, there's no way I'm going to say all of this stuff in a book.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I went through?
Yeah.
You know how many struggles I had? I can't show you all of that. I can't even probably even go back that far to remember all of that. I can remember it, but not in greater detail. But if I sat down and did it, we're talking about building a Bible times two. I don't know how else to say it. So, the lit part of technology is that we have a platform like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube that we can, feature things on, and they can share that with the world.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create a platform where this information can not only be shared with people in my community, but globally. And, so many people don't see or didn't see at that time, but I'm like, look, it's not your vision to see, it's mine. So, I have all these ideas in my head. Sometimes I can't sleep because I don't know, if I'm going to miss something, I need to write it down. I have a chalkboard wall in my house. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram, but, I constantly write stuff because I don't want to forget things. And, that wall actually came from an accident that I had. We'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
But, my memory was gone at that time a little bit from a concussion from an accident, car accident, but that wall pretty much gave me the start that I needed.
Wow.
It's like God sat me down in these situations for me to focus on what I need to focus on
That's
to
huge.
help his people.
That's huge.
Because I made him a promise.
Yeah.
I made him a promise. I said, Lord, if you get me out of homelessness, when I was living in Arizona, if you help me get back on my feet, help me go to school, help me finish, I will show people that you do not have to hit rock bottom to get up.
There you go.
You don't.
There
You don't. There's all these resources out here.
Yeah.
You know, there was the church, St. Vincent de Paul.
Yeah.
You know, you can go to them for so many reasons. I think they did like furnish your apartment, pay your rent. But, you know, of course you had to follow their program and stuff like
100%.
that.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. But, you know, you have this stuff out here, but nobody tells you about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Nobody tells you
You
about
have
it.
to you have to dig for it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Guess
one
what?
thing. Yeah.
Guess where else is at?
Yeah.
It's in a book.
Yeah.
Which our community don't read.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be bad,
Right,
because
right.
I didn't read.
Right.
Because my thing is, you know, we're reading about stuff that we have no interest in.
Yeah.
If you don't have no interest in it, why are you reading it?
Right.
So you have to have interest in it. Like, you know, the novels that we had to read in middle school, and I'm not gonna lie, I skim read
Right.
some of the chapters, but pretty much I get a feel for what it is. I know how to write.
Sure.
I can write you a book report. That's easy.
Yeah. I mean, it's a simple skeleton.
Yeah. I mean, anybody can do that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to task them with the challenge of actually pushing them to do something that they don't want to do, but actually showing them that this is going to help you in the end. This is not, you have to do it because I told you to do it. And we all know what happens when we're forced to do something.
Nah, man,
We don't want to do it.
And it don't last. You know what I'm saying? Because you didn't determine it for yourself that you wanted to do it. Like whenever you want to do something like on your own, you're more likely to keep doing it because it came from the inside. You know what I'm saying? But if you're forced from the outside, it's like the minute that pressure is off, you going the other way. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, so true, bro. I like that. Yeah, man. Like I think what you said about like, you know, being resourceful is so important because in our community,
Start to sweat.
one thing that I've seen is you know, you can come from a hard situation, man, but like with the power of the internet. Now here's the flip side of why the time that we're alive in now is good. Like literally at the click of a swipe, or however you want to say it, like you can be talking to somebody on the other side of the world.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like you can book a plane ticket if you got $40 in a promo code, or you hit like the right time of month,
Right.
and you can get outside of where you live, right?
Exactly.
You can open up a Shopify store or an Etsy store, or you can, you know, print up some T-shirts and literally like sell whatever you want to sell in order to kind of make it out of your situation. You know what I'm saying? Like if you want to put your resources to use, but like you said, man, like people have to want it and they have to be teachable.
Exactly.
I think if you're teachable and you have a desire to want to do better, man, like for real, like they used to tell us in the school, like the sky's the limit. It's like, nah, like the sky's really the limit. It's like you can go like beyond.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
The next galaxy.
Right.
NASA.
Like you literally can't
Light
be transported
years.
into another world, like another world than what you're used to. And I think Black History Month for me, man, like it's really shown me that, man, like we really come from such a not just strong people, but people who were so resourceful. Like the fact that like, you know, people were brought here in the 1600s, you know, stripped of everything, the culture, name, yada, just like everything, right? And somehow, like because of their will,
Right.
because of their desire to not give in. Obviously, you know, many were killed, and we know the narrative, but it's like to look at
Some of them know the narrative. That's the other
There you go.
issue.
Right.
And we're talking about our community. Some of
Yeah.
them don't even know that.
Yeah, which is, like you said, it was in a book. Really, I mean, like literally, Google. It's like, yo, if you got Google,
Yeah.
like on your phone, Android or iPhone, it don't matter. But it's like to be able to punch in whatever you want to punch in or learn about,
Right.
and read, man. It's like that's such a blessing, man. Like other parts of the world don't get that. You know what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, some parts of the world, like they are stopped from learning. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
learning what things really are. So yeah, man. Like It's crazy that like this is the last day of Black
This
History.
is the last day. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh
Man.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it is the last day. And actually, you know, I created this because I wanted to give back, but at the time I didn't know how to give back. So, you know, I had several conversations with my grandmother. She passed in 2017 from cancer, you know, and, you know, I had so many things going on and so much running through my mind at the time. I couldn't focus to get what I want out of what I was trying to do. So, you know, pressuring it, I wasn't getting anything. But then when I started to make real connections and, you know, go slow and go through the process and not try to speed things up, everything just started coming to me.
Wow. See that?
It just started coming to me. And now it's to the point where I really can't keep up with a lot of it. So I'm trying to delegate it to somebody else.
Yeah, but you had to start, man, to make those connections. And what's
Right.
so crazy is that like so many times, everything we need, like we already have it.
Right,
it's just
right.
a matter of like tapping into it, and then like Cooper said before, like putting in the work. Like,
Right.
what if you know, literally like the Instagram account that you found me on is like 3 weeks old, right?
Mm-hmm.
My student was like, "Yo, Mr. G, like you'll never like hit me back on my Instagram request." I'm like, that's my personal joint, like. But at some point, I'll probably create one for the class, right?
Right.
But how crazy is it that like literally, you know, you up in the DMV, we're here in Florida, and a week ago you hit me up and like, "Yo, bro, like this is what I got going on, loving what you're doing," and we sitting here like talking about and sharing like our
In
story.
less than a week.
In less than a week, bro.
In less than a week.
In less than a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the name of the project is the R.O.S.E Project Incorporated, and the meaning of it is removing obstacles, strongholds, and excuses.
Love it.
And this was something that I named after my grandmother because of her wanting me to take care of the kids. I didn't know what that meant.
Wow.
And I'm like, Grandma, I don't have any kids. And like all the conversations that we had, you know, I have a niece that's 5, I have another niece that's 9. You know, the other kids are, you know, I think like between 9 and 12, I think it is. One of them had a birthday yesterday. And the day before that as well.
Wow.
So it's like, you know, I got it. It's like, you know, okay, take care of them. Okay, that's fine. I got it. Why wouldn't I take care of them?
Right.
So she was like, no, I don't think you don't really understand. You know, I spent a lot of time on this earth worrying about things and not being able to enjoy stuff. And I'm just like, ugh. I'm like, Grandma, why are you doing this to me right now? Like we got to think about what's going on, and you trying to get me to do something else, and my mind ain't there right now.
Yeah.
So when she passed, I, you know, was having these dreams about her, and it was terrible. And I just felt like she was talking to me, but I wasn't getting it. And then one day, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I just started writing. And I wrote her name down as Rose, because everybody called her Rose. She was from Turkey. She married my grandfather from the military, from the Air Force.
Wow.
So according to that, you know, he's from
Yeah,
South
man.
Carolina, so that's another connection. He
Yeah.
went across seas to go work for the military and end up meeting her. So, you know, I didn't want to just capture her and be selfish in capturing her, but I knew that her name was powerful. I knew that everybody could, you know, relate to a rose. You know, roses you give to your mother, your girlfriend, your sisters, whoever the case may be. So I wanted to look over my entire life and see what I can make out of this acronym. So I was like, you know, what are the things that I went through? So when I thought about the things that I went through, I had a lot of obstacles. There was a lot of people that told me no, a lot of stuff that I couldn't do, like, you know, getting financial aid for school and, you know, trying to be this good person and good student and, you know, good citizen in society, but I just couldn't get there. And, you know, the frustration and the confusion, you know, the headaches, you know, the long wait periods from month to month, from year to year, you know, to try to figure out how I can go to school on my own, independently, whatever the case may be. You know, these were all the obstacles that I had, and, you know, I'm forever grateful for everyone that was in my life during that time, you know, that I struggled and still in my life today. Because a lot of them are very powerful people, and we don't recognize the people that's close to us. We look at celebrities, we look at all these people we see on social media. It's not fair when you don't even know who these people are.
So true.
Like, I'm a big Mary J. Blige fan. I love her to death. I don't have a problem with any kids, any of their music that they listen to. That is for them.
Right.
And that's one thing that the older generation don't understand. It's like, why do they listen to this and this is not supposed to be this? No, you missing it.
Right.
They're connecting with that. I think I was like probably what, maybe 5 or 6 at summer camp when I heard Mary J. And it's like, that stuck because I heard it. So that's why I always say, once you hear something or see something for the first time, you'll never forget it.
So true.
It's embedded in your memory.
1000.
So, that music helped me cope with Mary J. Blige from the death of my grandfather. So no one talked to me about death. No one told me what it was. I didn't know where he was going.
Yeah.
He was just gone.
Right.
So, I was not a believer in God at the time, but I had other people in my family, like my godparents, who stepped in, and, they've always been there from the beginning, so not stepped in, but they really pushed me onto understanding who God was and all this other stuff. So when I started learning about the Bible and going to church with them all the time, with him, my godmother, my godbrother, my godsister, all this stuff started, building me back up to where I needed to be probably, but I would have never known that I needed to be in this position.
Right.
But that's what happened, because when you have people in your life that touch your life like that, you need to recognize them.
1000%.
You need to recognize them. There's no other way to do it. So, it excited me. It made me think about all the stuff that they taught me. And even to this day, I still carry all of the stuff that they ever said to me. And people would think that it's like, you don't remember this or you don't remember that. No, yes, I do.
100, yeah, a child.
I do.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Kids don't forget, man.
No.
Like kids, like I was my parents had me. My mom was 17. My dad was 19, and so my great grandmother kind of helped to like raise me for like the first 2 years of my life, and she passed whenever I was, I think, 6 or 7. But I remember like the first time, like one of my earliest childhood memories was I was in the yard. I was I feel like maybe like 3 or 4, bro. Like, and I was playing in the yard, and there's these things called sticker pearls, like the little grass joints. I remember her telling me, "Hey boy, like, did I tell you not to play in that grass? Look at these sticker pearls and yada yada." But like, bro, like that's when I was 3 years old, and like still to this day, I think about how adventurous I am and like how I like to try stuff. It's like she never, from what I remember, bro, like she never like made me feel like I was like a bad kid for being adventurous or playing in the yard.
As grandmothers.
Right. But it was most like about her like saying, "Hey, look, like be adventurous, but like look out for what's around
you." Alert.
Exactly.
Alert
be
to your
alert, right?
surroundings.
And I'm like, that's when I was 3 or 4 years old, right? And here I am, 33, and I'm kind of like, wow, that's crazy that like I still remember that, And so like one thing I would say like to parents, man, is that like you gotta be careful at what you say to your kids.
Yes.
I have to watch that myself. I have an almost 3-year-old daughter, and I have to catch myself sometime, man, where I'm like, yo, like, you gotta watch your words, man. And it's been a couple of times where it's like I'll say something, and kids are sponges, and she picks it up and she repeats it. It's like, oh man, like wow, that's on me. So I love how you said like the people who are closest to you have the biggest impact, and celebrities. People who are far as like, I mean, a celebrity is a celebrity, right? And they have a gift,
right?
And you can gain like inspiration from them. But like I find like the people who really shape us, man, like are those who we're closest to.
Exactly.
So to be able to appreciate that, man, while they're still alive is like a really important thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, man.
And that's one thing I try to recognize on, because when I start every program is always, what is the thing that you can never get back in life?
Ooh, time.
That's right. And I was shocked that kids knew this.
Yeah.
And some adults didn't even know it.
Yeah, man.
And I'm just like, are you serious? So, once one of the kids say that, I normally either give them a gift or, we'll have a side talk or whatever and do a little sidebar. And, they become closer to you that way. I think that a lot of teachers today are doing a great job in the classroom, but I don't see how y'all do it. I don't.
It's a lot, bro. Like, I think, kind of like what we were saying earlier, like, and again, I mean, every generation feels like their parents, like, their parents weren't as bad as parents are today or whatever, or like they'd be like, yo, like wow, I don't remember, like, you know, I don't like, for example, when we played sports, I don't remember us getting like a trophy just for showing up. It was like winners and it was losers, right?
No.
And like today, yeah, I look at my kids and it's like everybody gets a trophy, right?
Yeah,
and so in the classroom, it's kind of like, yo, like kids will literally expect, yo, like I studied for the test, like, and I got a C. It's kind of like, yeah, like that's your effort. You know what I'm saying? But it's such a great opportunity because like you really get to teach them like, look, like when you get out in the world, like nobody don't care that you just show up. Like you have to provide value. Like the reason why you have the R.O.S.E project and you can make the connections that you make is because like you bring people value. Like that's why I was like, yo, what I need to be? You're like, yo, I want to be in Florida. This is what I'm doing. Kind of like I want to be a part of what you have going on and reaching kids. You know what I'm saying?
And I need your help too.
Yeah.
Because you know teachers. You probably part of all these organizations around here. The educators, they can join in as well. And like we doing the thing virtual, so why not?
Right. Hey man, it takes more than just one person. You can't do it alone.
No. It's a headache.
Yeah.
It's a headache. But you can plan it alone. Because sometimes everybody else don't see it.
They don't get the
but
vision, right.
Even still, you can always enhance and make things better once people get on board. So that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
And you know, as a human resources recruiter in HR, you know, I always tell people, you know, make those connections. You have to always remember that once you make a connection, don't ever lose it. Don't ever lose it.
Don't burn bridges either.
Don't burn bridges either. I don't care if it's a bad situation. You still walk out with a handshake and a smile. That's it.
Right.
Because they don't know what you're thinking for real.
True.
So don't let them know you're thinking that.
Yeah.
Because you never know what's going to happen down the road.
So true, bro.
Never know.
So true.
So basically, today, I do thank you for coming out, and I really appreciate it because, you know, I don't get a lot of contact in my own area like this. You know, there's a lot of teachers that I'm trying to work with now. Actually, I'm meant to share that with you too. My elementary school was redone, brand new school, and it's Lawrence E. Boone in Washington D.C. in Southeast Washington D.C. So the old school that we had was R.O.S.E Elementary, which the students did research on the name of the school, and me going to school there, I never even knew what the name was. Didn't even care to know. To be honest, I mean, who thinks about that in elementary school? So you know, that just lets you know how actively engaged that the students are today, or how bright they are, and how bad you're stopping their creativity by limiting them to tests that they, you know, have pressures about. I mean, you got all these tests that say what? Some people can't test with.
So true.
Some people just can't test with. But you can do the work. You can learn. You can interact with your peers in class. You can do it on the outside. And that's the social engagement that they need. So they researched the school. And my other godmother, she's the daughter. She's the only daughter. And they did up this whole markup for the city to change the name of the school, and we went to the city council that February, and the name was changed. Brand new school, his school now, so it's gonna be known worldwide.
All because the kids took that initiative to
all because
to
of
do
the
that.
kids, all because of the kids.
Yeah,
and
man.
then I got to meet, because of their great ideas, my third grade teacher that I've been looking for over 20 something years. And we would ride past her house because it's a street called Southern Avenue that goes all the way through from DC to the Maryland side. And I remember going to her house with my mother when we was younger. See, that's the memory again. We talking about third grade.
20, wow, bro.
Third grade. So I mean, she was my favorite teacher, Miss Phyllis Lee. She even came to an HBCU event that I did last December. But you know, no, it was last November. Last November. But you know, I was hoping that she showed up, and she came. I didn't even know. I couldn't even find her. Nothing. But when she came, I had roses for her.
Wow.
It was like we never left each other.
That's crazy, bro.
It was like we never left.
That's a pretty crazy story.
Yeah. And we had a conversation, and she talked, and she came to the event. She did a spiel on, you know, education and what education means to teachers. So she pretty much gave us, you know, the fulfillment that it gives to educators of why they do what they do. And, you know, I always tell all the kids that I talk to, even my family, the younger kids, it's like, you know, stop being bad in class. Like, respect the teacher. The teacher is spending their time, and, you know, they're really being disrespected and paid for what they're getting for teaching you. Because I'm like, 30 people in the class, I'm doing a mentoring session. I can't even get 3 people over here to stop talking sometimes, or I have to keep telling them, be quiet or do this. How would I can control 30 kids in one class?
Like, bro, it's you know, man, like I think kind of about what you were saying about tests. Like, one thing about teaching history is that like you really get a chance to tell stories. You know what I'm saying? And I find it to be so amazing, man. Like, a good teacher like knows how different their kids are. So like some kids, they're really good with like language and, you know, science is what the case is. Other kids, like, they're artistic and they're like they can care less about, you know, equations or whatever the case is, right?
Right.
So a good teacher like knows how to play on their kids' strengths. And so like I know some of my kids, like if I'm teaching a lesson on World War I, like some of them could care less about like the dates, right? Like, okay, like on this day or whatever the case is, or in this country or this city or in this invasion or whatever the case is.
Right.
They can, but like if I start talking about like the people and the people's stories behind, like, you know, the different generals or the different people who kind of led the charge for America or the people on the ground, like they more so connect with that because, you know, because of how they learn. Like they're more so concerned about like not so much, you know, how do I get this A? It's like, well, like what can I learn about like the humans behind like this whole story that like actually happened, right?
Right.
So like one thing that I always encourage people with who kind of like, yo, like how do y'all do it? It's really, man, like having a skill and just having people skills. You know what I'm saying? It's same thing in business. It's like, you know, you and I, it's like you having the initiative to be like, hey bro, like I'll be down in Florida, you know what I'm saying? Like let's connect. You know, like you didn't. I mean, even like before we started recording, like bro, like so I was like, yo, what's the agenda? Like, no, bro, we're just gonna talk. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they're able to relax more because it's like, oh, okay, we just kind of chopping it up, like, you know,
no structure.
You know, and so same thing in the classroom. Now you do the structure in the classroom, right? Because then things will be crazy. But I know that like some of my kids, if I promise them, hey, look, you know, once we get this work done, we're gonna have like 10 minutes of question and answer. Y'all can ask any question about what we just talked about, right? So like they may forget pages 220 to 225 what we just read,
right?
But you better believe that like if they can get their question answer about something that they're interested about, what we just talked about, then they're gonna keep that like until you know what I'm saying? And so people are like, yo, like how do you do it, man? It's like, man, like if you like you said, bro, like if you care about people and you're good to people and you realize that like one day this 12-year-old is gonna be a 30-year-old man,
right? And
the investment that we all make into this 12-year-old is gonna determine like who he's gonna be whenever he's 30. You know what I'm saying? Right. So if we don't want a 30-year-old man who has no purpose and has no vision and doesn't know like what he wants to do, then we have to take advantage of the time that we have now with the 12-year-old.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So yeah, man.
So with you coming from the other side of education, do you think mentoring is better for the other side or our community?
Both are needed. Here's what I'll say. I think when we think of mentoring, what I've seen is people are quick to go to our community. Oh, like they need mentors.
Right. This at-risk stuff.
Right.
That's the thing that burns me up. Like, what
am
I at risk for?
Once again, history.
From you?
Well, yeah, right. Let's think about history. Okay. why are we in some of the situations we're in? Like, why are some of these cities in the same situation? But that's another thing. But I definitely see in my years of being, you know what I'm saying, in middle class America, or however you want to say it, their mentorship, they pay for. So
say that one more
so,
time.
Yeah, so
say that one more time.
Their mentorship, they pay for it.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So
and even with my volunteering,
yeah,
I still pay a membership.
yeah,
And it's hundreds. It's not.
You're right.
It ain't
Right.
no $40, $50.
Right.
It's hundreds.
yes,
And you know, when I try to talk about mine, offer the numbers for mine, people are like, "Oh, this is a bit high." And I'm like, "Okay, every child in here got on a pair of Jordans. See these?
that's right.
A pair of Jordans. Every child in there had on a pair of Jordans, and
Right.
that's from elementary school on up to high school.
Yeah.
So you gonna tell me that your child is not more important than the shoes on his feet
Every
that he
single
can't
year.
get anything from?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that you say that.
And on top of that, we know that, you know, information, you can, I won't say shortcut, but you can compress the amount of time that it takes you to get results by paying for the right information.
That's right.
So what do you think about, okay, so back to test scores or testing. One thing that blew my mind, one of my first years teaching was me teaching test methods. And I'm like, yo, in school, like, we were never taught like how to test.
Yeah.
So like
No, never.
you put SAT, ACT,
Never.
you put, you know, like down here in Florida, like
Is this multiple choice?
yeah, like
Oh, okay.
like the process of elimination, like how the test is constructed, like how to answer certain kind of questions.
And
like,
where is this structure coming from?
I mean, again, it's a private school situation,
There
right?
we go.
You know,
There we
but
go.
it's I'm like, okay, it makes sense that even things like that, tutoring. You know what I'm saying? Like if a kid is, they don't even have to struggle, but like for them to go from having an 85 to a 90, that's going to go on their transcript or whatever the case
Exactly.
is. It's like, you know, to be able to put out bread for that, to help them not shortcut success, but to help them compress the amount of time that it's going to take them to get the results that they need to get. You know.
Exactly.
And I think at the end of the day, bro, like I just learned, like in America, I'm convinced that, you know, color, especially post-Obama, like the color that really matters, that matters in America is green, bro. Like if you can provide value for somebody, and if you can put money in their pocket based on what you bring to the table,
Right.
like for real, like if you're that good, like what's the
That's the only thing that matters.
that's the only thing that matters, bro. And a kid can only grasp that if they have somebody who, now again, teachers are important, but I know they hear my voice all day.
Right,
so
right.
Here is why things like the R.O.S.E project is so important for teachers and schools to get their kids around other voices, so that their kids can begin to imagine themselves as the people that they're talking to. Because the reality is that, like, everybody don't want to be a teacher. You know what I'm saying? So I may have kids who may look up to me, but I'll realize, that I have to put them around other voices so that they're inspired to be whatever that person is. You know what I'm saying? Because it's true, man, that like if you can see it, like you really can achieve it.
That's right.
Especially in our community, you know what I'm saying? Like depending on what we're around. But yeah, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's good. All right, so we're gonna wrap it up here. It was great talking today.
Absolutely.
That was really good.
Appreciate it, bro.
We just want to thank you for coming out today once again. We are here in Orlando, Florida, and it's a nice day today. I don't know what it looks like in DC right now, but
It ain't this. I'll tell you that. It's about
Yeah,
70,
it's a
78
really nice
degrees
day.
right now.
all right. So let them know where they can follow you again.
Yeah, man. So on IG at Mr. Gadson's class. Yeah, man. Come on over, see what the kids talk about. It's interesting.
So you gonna do the lives that I forgot his name. Somebody asked you about it. Are you gonna do a live every week or something like that? They said?
Yeah. One of the kids. I'm gonna try my best. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of being a family man. I gotta watch that.
Right.
But I see the value of it, man. Like the kids really
Get the other teachers to join.
It's their world.
That's the thing.
There you go.
Get the other teachers to join.
Some of them be acting back in shadow. You like, I don't like it. I don't look good on camera. It's like kids don't care about that. Like they just think you cool because you on IG. It's like yo,
fashion show.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
I guess.
Thanks, bro.
I guess.
Thanks for your work, my brother. Thanks for all that you do.
All right, man.
Good stuff, my man.
Thank you.